challenging to do the scheduling for that. So aside from New Zealand, probably good afternoon, maybe there, but good morning to the rest of you all. So listen, let's go ahead and start getting into some of the things that are starting to pop back up as we are in a off season, but finna be a season that's about to reemerge. We're about to see testing. We're about to see car unveilings. We've already seen some hints of Ferrari's modified design. We're going to see more of that across the rest of the teams, especially I am anticipating we should see a considerable amount of design changes with Mercedes. But let's talk about Andretti, because things are starting to rise back up about Andretti. It is no secret that the Andretti family has been wanting to get into Formula One, but as a new team, Andretti does not want to come in like Stefano and Ben have announced, or Liberty Media have announced, that Audi is coming in by purchasing the Sauber chassis. But there are some challenges there. Some of the challenges that exist there with Andretti coming in is, one, the good old boys entry fee into Formula One, the dilution fee of $200 some odd million, which will be dispersed among the current teams on the grid, which is 10, and they'll all get a slice of that fee, which would be about $20 million some odd dollars a piece for each team. So they're paying that fee coming in, because if Andretti is a new team and able to come in, just like Audi is coming in, but they're purchasing the Sauber chassis, which we haven't heard much about Porsche and their entry. What's going on, Sylvia Wick? Porsche and their entry have kind of like dissipated since the announcement of Audi. And the reason I think that is I think Volkswagen used their mega brands in order to push Formula One into making new regulations, which would make it more comfortable for them to enter the sport, because we already know they're going to get rid of the MGU-H, which is the system that is incorporated with the turbochargers to create that extra amount of energy and charging and disbursement of energy in order to keep from anti-lag in the turbos happening. So we know that that was directly mentioned in the press conference, that Formula One had changed those regulations to make it more appeasing for these new brands, Audi and Porsche, to come in. Then shortly later, after the announcement that Audi was in and the deal was solidified, and they showed us the car, or the car that was anticipated to don the grid, Sauber, we weren't sure which chassis it was going to be. I had pretty much told you all it was going to be the Sauber chassis was the likely one. Alfa Romeo would be out of there, and then Audi would come in with that. Andretti doesn't want to enter that way. Andretti doesn't want to put his shirt on another body and run. Andretti wants to bring his entirely own team to the grid, own chassis to the grid. Now, we already heard that Andretti had brought up mentions that he already had a power unit provider, and we don't know what that is. But also, as you see in this picture right here, we know that Andretti Autosports Global Group is making a mega facility in Indiana. All right. I mean, this facility has a lake. It's going to have CNC. It's going to have tech and development. It's going to have engineering. And Andretti's been involved in several motorsports. Andretti is a F1 champion himself. So it's not like Andretti doesn't have the lineage or the experience to compete, because they're competing in several other series. Formula E, Extreme E, IMSA, IndyCar, Indy Next, Supercars, hell, Super Copa. I mean, they're doing plenty of things as far as in motorsports, just not in Formula One, and they're in Formula E. So it's not like they're not already within the Formula ecosystem. Now, don't get me twisted. Formula E and Formula One are not the same, but do we not respect accomplishments in F2, F3, FE? I mean, we got Nick DeVries, who's a Formula E champion, and that's one of the things that people gloat about as far as him having the extensive background that he does have coming into the sport. So Andretti also has a pool of drivers that they would be able to inevitably pull from in order to fill the seats in that 1 and 2 car. If they wanted to within their own organization, they probably would be able to bring ranks up through there. And plus, I think Andretti would represent America more than Haas does. Haas, although stemming from a NASCAR American sport and being Haas Formula One, nobody really technically looks at Haas and thinks American off the grid. We already know we had the whole Mazepin and Uralkali situation, and all that crap. Nobody really looks at Haas like that's the American team. We just recently got a new revision, a new era American driver in Logan Sargent, but he is at Williams, which is also not an American team, but owned by an American financial company, Doralton. So I think Andretti coming to the sport, being that when he participated in Formula One, he was representing America. His teams, his groups participate in a lot of American sport, not to mention their accomplishments in rally, and then having an American-based headquarters. I think that team by far would bring in more American support than Haas or even Logan Sargent himself. I think that could be the case. Don't forget Colton Herta is over there underneath the Andretti family group. And now Jamie Chadwick has been blessed to come into the Autosports of Andretti, and she's going to be racing in Indy next. And she has big sponsorship backing. She has DHL. That's a pretty big sponsor. So I'm really excited about the point that if this deal can actually get done, we do need to set some expectations, right? We need to kind of get over the honeymoon phase. And what the honeymoon phase is this. Andretti could be trailblazing. I think many of us wondered, why did Williams not do more for Jamie Chadwick, given what she did in the W Series? And then there are a lot of people that are saying Jamie Chadwick's accomplishments in the W Series mean shit. And that's not true. I think that is very pig-headed, male chauvinistic. I think it's really short-minded. And I think that if we give other drivers credit for what they do in F3 and Formula E, I definitely think we're going to give Jamie Chadwick credit for what she's done in the W Series, because you can only do what you're able to do in the sport that you're in. And if you do and excel in that level of sport, then you should be granted the opportunity to step up and see what happens. And she's been granted that opportunity now. We already know the W Series went through a bit of a rough patch. What's going on, Sylvia Wick? I see you. Been through a bit of the rough patch, right? They ran out of money in the 2022 season, as I was in Coda hearing news that their season would be shortened. Jamie Chadwick, of course, already up in points, champion 3 times back to back there. I think 2019, 2020, and 2022, or so 2020, 2021, 2022. She's 3-time champion. Jamie Chadwick's been doing her thing. Now going to get to go over to Indy. And this is where she'll have the opportunity to show if her skills are going to rise to the occasion. A lot of you have commented here, and I want to know what you think in the comment section, that IndyCar drivers are likely comparable or even better than Formula One drivers. A lot of you have said that in the comment section before. Now, I'm not sure. What's up, Anthony Carrier? What's going on? I see some of the fan popping up in here. I'm not sure if I completely agree with that. We've seen Grosjean go from Formula One, which he wasn't the best in F1. I think he was part of the Haas, if you're not wrecking, you're not racing. I've told you all that several times. Haas literally probably has a sign above their headquarters before you walk through that door that says, if you ain't wrecking, you ain't racing, because they've had to have too many consult sessions with their drivers about, can you please just not wreck the car? We've seen Grosjean do that. We've seen them do that just heating up tires on formation laps. We've seen the amount of abundance. Matter of fact, Mick Schumacher, even at Haas, has separated 2 cars just in this previous season. And congratulations to Mick going over to Mercedes as a reserve driver, getting another opportunity before exiting Formula One. And we will talk about that on a later episode. But I just believe that Jamie should have been granted other opportunities within the Formula One system. I would have liked to see her in Form F3, maybe even F4, but the point is she has her opportunity now. What will she do with it? And we're going to go back to tapering expectations. Yes, Andretti could be trailblazing in many ways. Having Jamie, what if they bring Jamie up as a reserve driver, get her the experience she needs if she does well in Indy next, maybe IndyCar, and the next thing you know, Andretti's in Formula One and she's one of the drivers. What if Colton Herta, and this is given that the super license points and you acquire enough points to have your super license. We know all that. People going to throw shots on that. She doesn't even have it. Like, come on, we understand that. Colton Herta may be coming in and then getting his opportunity to drive Formula One, but this would probably be in parallel. We need to understand that even if this deal gets announced, as Andretti Michael said, it could be a good Christmas present. It's not going to happen 2023. They're not going to be able to announce that this is going to happen, and then next thing you know, Andretti's in by the next season. It's going to take some time for Andretti to tool up, to finally start putting money really where they want to start driving that force, they're not going to waste financial and funds into it if they don't know if the deal's going to get done. So there's still going to be a lag on that. The finances going towards developing the real Formula One car and the team to come in, who they're going to select, the engineering, all of this stuff to get adherence to the regs. So if Audi is announced right now in 2022, they're not coming in until 4 years later. You could pretty much guess if Andretti announces sometime before or within 2023, maybe the soonest time that we'll see them is 2026 along with Audi, right? Because why would you want to come in at 2023? In 3 years, the regulations are going to change. You're going to put all that money into developing within these regs, and then you got to go through another chain. No, it would be financially smart for Andretti to get the deal done, go ahead and start working on things 3 years from now to develop a car, develop a team, develop everything else they need to adhere to the 2026 changes, because as the other teams will need to adapt to that, and they're already working on that, trust that, and Audi and Porsche supposedly were going to come in because they were going to change that, then that would be the opportunity for them to have at least a decent landing on the grid and at least come in and not be shitted to the back with other teams, which it's likely they end up there, right? I mean, you're coming into a sport you haven't really competed in as a team. Andretti, Mario is a Formula One champion, okay? But that's a long time. We did see him in the MP4 at McLaren when he went and ran. Was that Laguna Seca? I think that was Laguna Seca he ran at. But anyway, he was in a Formula One car recently, and the man is 80 years old, still balling out in the car. So I commend him on that. But they're not going to just come in to be trailblazing, right? We can't just look at Mario to come in and say, oh, put Jamie in the car, Colton Herter, the American team on the grid. They need to win races. It would be crazy to go through all of this and then Andretti, the family, Autosport, not come in and actually win races to be highly competitive. That is what we want to see. We want to see Andretti, the name, come in and cause a stir within at least the mid group of the grid, and even sometimes being competitive at the top. But that is easily said than done. And I think we need to respect that. So I think we should kind of, bring our expectations down. Or let's say not down. Let's be a little bit realistic with the expectations once a new team hits the grid. Even Audi saying that 5 years they plan on having their championship. Some people have said that that's a pretty steep goal, 5 seasons to say that you're going to be champion. And if that's a steep goal, then we need to also apply maybe some of that with people claiming that to Andretti. But maybe, because think about it, Audi's no slouch. They've been competing in series as well and doing well. Porsche is a race-inspired built car that you have on the street. They're race-inspired the way. Did you see the GTR S3? Come on now, the cars are crazy. All right, so I definitely would like to see it. I definitely would like the deal to get done. It's supposedly said that they have received financial backing that would cover the dilution fee. But that itself is not enough to keep pushing further. Once you pay that fee, where is all the extra money and finances coming for to develop and have a good, solid team? And I've often said that it would be cool if maybe they partnered up with Porsche. If Porsche was really serious about coming in, maybe that's a handshake that could happen to bring a new team to the grid. Maybe, right? Maybe Porsche doesn't even care about being in it. Maybe, like I said, Volkswagen family, the group just leveraged their ability to get things done. And then Porsche was never going to really enter the grid anyway. It was all about Audi coming in and Porsche just going off and doing their own thing. And a couple of teams that were said that could be purchased if Andretti wasn't going to be allowed to come in as a new team. Maybe he could then partner with an entity and purchase a current team. And one of those 3 current teams, we thought, well, one of them is out of the gate, is Sauber. That's going to Audi. But the only other 2 at that time that were viable was possibly Haas, due to their situations that we know through the seasons. They've had problems with primary sponsors and money. And then Williams was a team that definitely had problems through the COVID era and then got bailed out not only by Dorilton, but also Michael Latifi as far as investing and extending them credit and loaning them money. So we thought that. But then recently, with the death of Dietrich, that AlphaTauri could actually be purchased as a team he could come into, right? And I think some of us were like, Red Bull needs to be broken up anyway. Red Bull should not be allowed to have 4 cars and 2 teams on the grid, because that could be a conflict of interest. Utilizing another team and other drivers and cars to possibly have better placement on the grid or not is something that is a concern to some people. And I've often mentioned that maybe that's something that needs to broke up, but I don't think they're interested at all at doing that. It's no secret that every time you see AlphaTauri announce, they say Red Bull's team AlphaTauri. It's like, come on, maybe that shouldn't be allowed. You got a team who has 4 garages, 4 cars. It's a little funny right there. I just think that maybe that should be broken up. But Andretti's like, hey, I want my own squad. I want to be the 11th team on the grid. I do not think that that's a bad idea. I think that we possibly have room for 12 teams, but keep in mind, we've also seen teams come and go. Jaguar, Arrows. We've seen teams come and go. Toyota. We've seen them come and go, whether that's a real complete new team or it's just a team donning another chassis. Will Andretti and Audi be that? Will they be here and be gone? And I'm not necessarily saying that that's entirely a bad thing. I don't think Formula One should shut the doors and say, you know what, we got these 10 teams. They've been around forever. Ferrari gets the longest standing they get a longest standing check for like $60 some odd million just for being that team. Williams gets a heritage check. I think they should always keep the door open, because it does bring a bit of opportunity there for jobs, for drivers, any other spots. But they definitely, I want to see them come in and be competitive. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comment section about the whole situation, about Andretti possibly making their way, the Andretti family making their way to Formula One. I'm definitely going to be trying to keep an eye on Jamie Chadwick in the Indy series. And I'm going to keep an eye on a couple of other things that are developing to see how the landscape for Formula One will start forming up going into 2026. We're still going to be here. But most importantly, listen, be here for the E-races. We have a good time. And also, I'm going to have an announcement. I'm going to go live to make an announcement. We have several family members that are approaching their 6-month mark. I already have designed the logos for the shirts that those family members will receive for being with the family for 6 months or more. So that's going to be really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting those in production so I can get shirt sizes from you all. Big congratulations to Extracts. He is the latest Tier 1 family member. We awarded him on the esports race we had just this past Sunday. Big shout out to him. I'm going to get his VIP box out to him ASAP. I've already got it packed up, so I'm going to try to get that out today. We already know how holiday shipping can be. It can be crazy. Mary Beanie, what's going on? I'm a little kind of hesitant about shipping it at this time, and maybe consider waiting, but I think it may be all right. So we're going to go ahead and try to get that out to them. So big congratulations to him. So yeah, be here for the E-races. We're going to be putting on another E-race this weekend, or maybe midweek, because I will be in travel. So, hey, join the family, subscribe, like, comment. Thank you all for coming up and pulling up this morning. As I said, I like to try to get on some time to appease my UK family members that are definitely 5 hours ahead. Try to say good morning to you all. It should be about 10 a.m. approaching there. So still good morning to you. I do care about you. I do love you. Do appreciate the support. And we will see you all next time. Andretti might be in, might not. Audi's coming. Let's see what they do. All right, peace. And finally, might not actually happen for Porsche. That's a real story.